Hi, everyone. This is Steve. That's Eric. We are Ronin's Den, and we are here to discuss more Wizards of the Coast drama? Is that the word I want to use? Drama? Fuckery? Tomfoolery? I don't know. Honestly, shenanigans. That's a good word, Joe. Anyway, what is going on in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, and D&D Beyond? Eric, you have a lot of thoughts, so I'm gonna let you start this one.
Okay. So Wizards there was an article that came out recently that Wizards of the Coast was putting forced changes to the spells and magical items on D&D Beyond. And that's not sitting quite well with a lot of people, understandably.
Yeah. Didn't we call this? Didn't we literally call this in a video 2 months ago?
We said something very similar to this would happen. We were talking about how not to trust D&D Beyond and other platforms where you purchase things entirely on a digital basis because you do not own those books. You don't own those games. You don't own whatever it is that you purchased digitally. And I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it very slowly for everybody who didn't listen the first time. You do not own the books that you have purchased on D&D Beyond. You have a long-term rental. You do not own them. And we said that it is perfectly within the realm of possibility that Wizards of the Coast would be delisting items and removing them from the D&D Beyond store. I gave 2 examples of books they've already delisted, and then with the 2024 books coming up, we predicted more shenanigans with it. I like that word. I'm going to stick with it. And recently, they said, hey, I think it was like a couple days ago, they said, hey, we're going to be removing all of the 2024 books, 2014 spells and magical items from D&D Beyond and replacing them with the new 2024 ones, which at surface level doesn't really sound that bad to a lot of people, but there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that we'll talk about here tonight. They have since come out today earlier with a clarification article explaining. Are you okay there? Microphone sneak up on you?
My microphone.
They came out with
beauty of being live, everybody.
Right?
Yeah, talk about the changelog.
Yeah, we're going to ignore the fact that you just smashed yourself in the face with a microphone. They came out with an updated changelog where they clarify what they're doing a little bit better, but it's still not all that clear, and I'm still not happy with the whole situation. So, all right. What would I have done differently in this case? I would have left the 2014 rules exactly as is because that's what people paid for on D&D Beyond. And since they're doing these changes that are forced without these consumers' consent, instead I would have provided those changes as a supplement either for free, which is what they should do considering what they're doing anyway. And I would have been okay even if they said, we're going to charge you a nominal fee for these updates. But they didn't. They're just forcing these changes onto people. What was your initial feelings on this?
So at first, like you said, on a surface level, this doesn't seem like that big of a deal, right? They basically said we're going to update all the spells, all the magic items to the 2024 books. And we're going to make it so you can't access the 2014 stuff on the character sheet. They also clarified that they're leaving those within the compendium within your library. So if you purchased those books, you still have access to those books for now. And if you want to use the 2014 spells and magic items, you can homebrew them and put them onto your character sheet. Like I said, on surface level, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal. The problem is that I feel like any goodwill and any faith and trust within this company, with that company, Wizards of the Coast, is burnt. And that's why I think a lot of people are like you and I were saying, this isn't good. Because for now, you have access to those old books. They're making it harder for you to access that as stuff. You have to go to the legacy page. You have to go to your legacy compendium, copy and paste it, create it as a homebrew item, then put it on your character sheet. But who's to say within a year, when they get a couple more books out for the 2024 version, they just don't make those go away?
Well,
Like we've said the whole time, you don't own the digital content. They can just delete it whenever they want.
well, that's also been my biggest thing with this, right? You don't own the content, they can make it go away. They've done that with Volo's Guide to Monsters and the first Mordekian's book. If you already own them, you can continue to open them. Now, you don't have these PDFs downloaded to your computer or saved in 5 different spots in case of failure. It's all through the D&D Beyond platform. No new consumers can get Volo's Guide or Mordekian's Tome of Foes. They're not accessible to new people. You can get Mordekian's Monsters of the Multiverse, which was honestly a shameful cash grab at best, in my opinion. But you can't get the older books. And I believe there were other titles that they were phasing out of availability on D&D Beyond. And there's precedent for a complete delisting of things on other platforms, right? Most recently, the Xbox 360 store, gone. Like, if you still now, okay, I can hear a lot of people going, that's Xbox 360. It hasn't been relevant forever. Okay, sure, not a relevant platform for a lot of people, but still, there were purchases that people made through the online store there that they'll never be able to gain access to ever again. I have lost hundreds of dollars worth of games that I did not have hard drive space to store. Put this in with Wizards of the Coast, D&D Beyond, when you have a company that has said that they are under monetized. Like, we have the article right here. Wizards of the Coast believes D&D is under monetized. And recently, who was the new president that they got? The person who was in charge of microtransactions for Blizzard during World of Warcraft's most egregious time of microtransactions. What's Wizards of the Coast doing right now? They are getting D&D 2024 geared up, and they have this new virtual tabletop that they're putting out. You have D&D's under monetized. You have this new CEO, executive, whatever guy who's, I love microtransactions. You have a new virtual tabletop, games, books that are being kind of phased out, rule changes that are being forced onto players without their permission or consent, the items that they purchase fundamentally altered. Here's my prediction. This is what's happening with all of this, right? They're pushing for the virtual tabletop to be the centerpiece of D&D moving forward. I think it's called Sigil. They did that weird infomercial at Gen Con that people paid tickets to go sit and watch.
Don't even get
like whatever.
We didn't even talk about that. Like, they had a private showing you had to buy tickets to go to. They made it a big deal because it had Brennan Lee Mulligan. It had Abrea, whatever her name is. Abrea, whatever her name is. They had the voice actor for Asterion and the voice actor for Karlach. And they sold it as you were playing a D&D game, and you got to watch these awesome people. And then halfway through, they revealed the new tabletop and didn't even teach the people playing how to use it. So it ended up being a learn as you go, and it ruined the whole thing. And a lot of people who bought the tickets were like, why did they have to do this? Was nothing but a commercial.
Mm-hmm. So here's my prediction. Here's what's going to happen. And part of it's going to be what I predicted last time. They're going to slowly start phasing these 2014 books out of availability, initially by delisting them from purchase from new consumers, and then slowly removing their access from the D&D Beyond platform entirely. Just like Xbox has gotten rid of the Xbox 360 store, just like you can't download Dogma anywhere if you purchase that movie, go try. You can't. If you got the physical copy, congratulations, but you can't buy digital anymore. And if you had bought digital, you can't re-download it. So that's their plan, and they're going to push you further and further into the virtual tabletop. The reason they're making these forced changes to spells and magic items is they're going onto the character sheet. The character sheet is defaulting to the new version of these things, which is going to tie directly into the virtual tabletop. And with the new executive in charge over at Wizards of the Coast, they are going to monetize the living hell out of it. The microtransactions that are going to be on this system are going to make Ubisoft and EA jealous. I guarantee it. That's my prediction. And what's truly fucking sad in my opinion, is you got a lot of these, and I'm going to use some terms that are going to piss people off, but pick me creators on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube who are just saying, this is no big deal. They're giving you stuff for free. They're trying to get their 5-minute interview with Jeremy Crawford or their free D&D 2024 materials, or get their name somewhere in some articles so they can run their paid DM games on the new virtual tabletop. Instead of being, hey, this is anti-consumer, this is not what people agreed to when they made a purchase. No, they're just running free PR for the worst, most unethical company in tabletop gaming. And that pisses me off.
I absolutely agree. Also, outside of just the Wizards of the Coast guy that they hired to be the president, they've also brought in an AI designer, an AI engineer, which, let's face it, right now they say it's only for the video game and for the tabletop. It's going to be art eventually, if it isn't already. But that is the goal. They want to eliminate the game master, the dungeon master. They want to create a tabletop that will run a game for you like a video game and then microtransaction the hell out of it. And that is what their new system is driving people towards. And like you said, and I think it as well, I fully believe that at some point we are going to lose access, or well, the people who have D&D Beyond are going to lose access to those 2014 books. And here's the sad part. And this is something that I've seen a couple people say, and I thought it as well. You already had the codes written, designed for the 2014 character sheet. You're designing new codes for the 2024 character sheet. Write 3 or 4 extra lines of code that let you toggle between them. Like, if Wizards of the Coast wanted to show that they're show good faith and try to earn some trust back, write that extra couple lines of code to make it a toggle switch. For the people that want to do 2024 and for the people that want to continue to do 2014. Hell, if Wizards of the Coast wanted to make a ton of money, put every edition available. Every edition. Go back through and make character sheets and the books for every single edition of D&D on your application and put a $5, $10 a month subscription to have access to the entire D&D library from 1st to 5.5, and they would make a ton of money and earn a ton of goodwill. But what they're doing is they're doing what they always do. They're making a little change to see how much they can get away with, or how they're, what I think this is a test. I think they're doing a very minor change, spells and magic items, nothing major, nothing drastic, to see if they can get away with doing more. And because the outrage is not very high on this one, I think they're going to see that, oh, we're not losing subscriptions, we're not losing people, we can do more. That's the problem with Wizards of the Coast, is I don't trust them. No one should trust this company, and they don't need you to defend them. To the people that are out there saying, oh, this isn't that bad, this is a good thing, blah, 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 you are delusional. It's like you're in an abusive relationship And every time they hit you, you're saying, "Oh, they didn't mean it. It was a mistake." What? Like, I don't get it. How many times does a company have to burn you before you realize, okay, maybe I shouldn't trust what they're telling me?
Honestly, I don't even think this was a test. I think that they fully intended to not to do the full changes that they did, and they weren't going to walk it back. I guarantee this is like the OGL thing. They put it out there and they're like, "Oh, a couple people said something. Walk it back a little bit. Just walk it back," because there were enough people out there that were pushing back against these changes. There were enough people out there going, "Hey, this is kind of fucked up. I bought this book with these contents. This is what I expected to own from date of purchase moving forward." And I think Wizards did get a whiff of that and was like, "All right, well, you know what? Let's just walk it back just a little bit. Just a little." Just like they did with the OGL. I guarantee you the OGL leak wasn't a leak. It was the honest what they were going to do. They had every intention to follow
It
through with the
absolutely
original
was.
OGL. And they only walked it back because people complained. And you know what? That's something else I want to talk about on this one too. There are the people running the PR, the free defense for Wizards, who are telling people to not be upset and to just be quiet and enjoy the game. Like, people don't have the right to be upset that Wizards of the Coast is pulling some anti-consumer bullshit. No, man, I just want to introduce people to Dungeons and Dragons so they can play a fun game. You shouldn't be negative. The only time these companies change is when people push back. And I'm going to bring up a very inflammatory example of this. That's not exactly a 1-to-1 ratio. And I know people are like, I don't know why you're even comparing these two, but people are using the terms of service for Wizards of the Coast as the smokescreen and defense for these changes. You agreed to this when you used D&D Beyond. I don't know if you did or didn't. I couldn't find the words in the terms of service that said, as a consumer, you are consenting to Wizards of the Coast to edit your documents that you've purchased. I couldn't find that wording in there. But Disney. Very recently, Disney had a lawsuit. Well, they fought a lawsuit from existing for a wrongful death at one of their parks. And the thing that they were hiding behind was the terms of service, which is the same
for Disney Plus.
For Disney Plus.
The terms of service for Disney Plus that said you cannot sue them if you have a Disney Plus subscription.
Exactly. Now, I'm not equating a human life to tabletop games at all. I'm saying that the legal defense that people are using for Wizards of the Coast here is the exact same thing. In a court of law, both times it would be argued that it was through the terms of service. And the only reason Disney reversed course was because they did an ROI on the fallout from this bullshit and what would happen if they kept the lawsuit blocked versus letting it go through. And the only reason Wizards ever does anything differently as well is because people complain. So if you have issues with what Wizards or any company is doing, you should complain loudly and publicly. Otherwise, they're just going to do whatever they want. And that is not ever a good thing when it comes to Wizards of the Coast. It just...
And I want to touch on the thing you said at the beginning with the people who are saying like, oh, I want to introduce them to a fun game. You guys are always complaining and always upset. You know, you can do both. You can play D&D, all the books you already have, and never give another cent to Wizards of the Coast. You can do that. You can introduce your friends to a game you love. The difference is, if you see this company doing terrible things, and let's face it, Wizards of the Coast has ramped it up in the last 2 months. It was every 3 or 4 months. It's been what? Removing content or removing credits from content, an AI art director, the stupid press tour they did where they were paying people and giving them free products and then giving them like a 10-minute interview with Jeremy Crawford where they couldn't ask any real questions outside of the questions that were given to them to ask. Then copyright striking those people for doing reviews about the books they gave them for free to review, then walking that back. Now they're doing this. It has been like every 2 weeks, something has happened with this company, and they're not stopping. They're not stopping because people don't want, like, people complain about them, but they won't do anything about it. It's the goldfish brain mentality of, oh, something's wrong. Oh, look at that, a new shiny toy. Like, the only one that Wizards of the Coast did that people were legitimately mad about and like actually stopped subscribing to D&D Beyond is the OGL crisis. And to me, that was like the least egregious one of the bunch. Defending Mike Merles, hiring Zach S., not firing Mike Merles, the Hadozi, the countless other racist and terrible things they've done. That's the stuff you're not upset about, but you're upset about the OGL? Like, I can't with this. And it's constant. I want Dungeons and Dragons to be a great game owned by a great company, and it's not. And that is the problem because no one cares.
Well, they care.
I don't care that you like D&D. I don't care that you want to play D&D. But you can admit that Wizards of the Coast is a bad company. You can admit it and still love the game.
Well, they care. They want their attention and their shiny object. Like you said, Wizards has done all of these egregious things. A lot of these people, they are going to be the first ones that get on some stream somewhere and say, you should not include these things in your game. If you want to play Dark Sun as a setting, you're a terrible person. If you want to use a character backstory that incorporates these elements, you're a horrible person. And they will get their pitchforks and they will chase you out of the community. But at the same time,
they back the game that has more of it than anything.
There you go. They back the game that publishes it in their materials on a regular basis. Like, hey, don't put slavery in your games in any way, shape, or form. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn around in the same breath and I'm going to advertise my next paid game of Dungeons and Dragons on Start Playing Games. And I'm going to buy all the books. I'm going to send people to the publisher who published that material. I'm going to give people a hard time if they use it as written and tell them they're horrible. But I'm still going to try and make a bunch of money on the back end off of it. Like, stick to your fucking convictions on it. If those weren't deal breakers, they were deal breakers for me. I stopped buying books right after Spelljammer. You know, like I said, hey, that's horrible. I'm not supporting this company anymore. And I haven't been trying to make money off of it at the same time. These same people that have a huge problem with that, and it's what the company's publishing, are telling people to shut up because they're unhappy their materials are being edited without their consent. And for a community that screams consent every 2 seconds, I just find it idiotic. Like, it's silly and it's idiotic.
And I haven't bought a single Wizards of the Coast product since Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And because after I purchased Tasha's, I started to see the Fire Mike Merles hashtag. And I looked up what was reported that he did, and Wizards of the Coast never got rid of him. And I said, I'm not going to support a company that protects a person who doxes abuse victims to their abuser. Even if it wasn't true, which there was never any like legal thing or anything, but he never denied it. He never came out about it. And Wizards of the Coast, knowing with all these complaints, didn't get rid of him. And then they didn't cut ties with Zach S., who was the perpetrator of that abuse. I couldn't do it. I have convictions. I have very strong convictions about what I think is okay and what I don't think is okay. And I've stuck to that. I've not bought a single product of D&D's since Tasha's, and I will not buy another thing from Wizards of the Coast until they change. And they're not going to because nobody else has that conviction. Well, I wouldn't say nobody else, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah, Very few people do. They see a new book coming out and they're like, "Ooh, shiny!" Or Critical Role announces another season. Ooh, shiny! Dimension 20 says something about a new campaign. Ooh, gonna watch that. And yeah, so it's the faux activism and the faux outrage for clout that bugs the hell out of me with that community. And like you said, I love D&D. I'll still play it. I introduced a whole group to 2nd edition over the last couple months. I'd still play 5th edition with the right people. But I'm never going to give Wizards of the Coast another dime, and I would never advertise in a way that would create consumers for them.
And Joe just put something in the chat that I think is a very true statement. And at the end of the day, it's not hard to stop playing D&D when there are so many other games out there to play.
Yeah.
It honestly, it is. 100% just, I don't know. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Neither do I. I'm at my end with it. I think that's where we could end this episode tonight.
Once again, if you want to get away from Dungeons and Dragons, the games that we are promoting here on Ronin's Den, Fabula Ultima, that is our #1 game. That is what we're playing bi-weekly on Mondays. Eric is running it. We have a group of amazing players in Tara, Spike, Anthony, and myself. It has been a blast playing with them. Fabula Ultima is an intuitive system. It is very simple. It is very easy to get into. They have probably one of the best free quick starts. It's called their press start. It literally teaches you how to play the game in the first intro. It makes it a game to create a character and to play. So you learn the game super quick and you don't have to pay anything. And I believe the PDFs for all the Fabula Ultima books are what, $10, $15?
I want to say they're about 15 a piece. The quick start, I want to add
15-ish.
Yeah, and the thing I want to add about the quick start is it walks you through your character sheet on a by scene basis. So it tells you on the character sheet like a 6. That means at scene 6, you're going to use this part of your character sheet. So it's very good at teaching people how to play the game. And the physicals,
the physical book,
$30.
Physical books about $30. It is a fantastic, simple system. If you like JRPGs, if you liked any of the Final Fantasies, if you like Chrono Trigger, things of like that, that is the game that we definitely recommend. If you want a game with a little more crunch, a little more meat on its bones, we do recommend our good friend Levi Davis's The Legends of Kralis. It is a fantastic game. You can get the PDFs, I believe, once again for, what is it, $15?
Yep.
And then the physical books are $25. You can get them not hardback, softback for $15.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's say hardbacks are 25, softbacks are 15, and they come with the free PDF.
Yeah, built in. Or you can get the PDF, I think,
5.
for 15. So why not get the 5? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, another game I want to promote real quick, Grimwood Games, Ironbound. Grimwood, Dave is in our chat right now. His goes to Backer Kit in 6 days. Go look for it. We will be posting about it. Good friend of the channel here, and we are going to promote his game because he's an awesome dude. And the game was pretty fun.
Yep. So. I got to play that in like a heist version of it. If you are in any way, shape, or form a fan of Shadowrun or the World of Darkness, 100% going to be right up your alley. 100% up your alley.
So those are 3 games that Ronin's Den as a channel are promoting. Definitely worth a look. We are heavily trying to get people to get away from D&D if they want to. If you want someone to teach you some of those games or talk about it, please head to our Discord. We will gladly talk to you about them. We can set up a one-shot to teach you how to play any of them. And that's that. Take us out.
Well, thank you for joining us on this Saturday for our rant against WoTC's ass hattery and anti-consumer practices. And I look forward to seeing everybody here on our monthly one-shot next week, where our good friend Joe is going to be running the Fallout 2D20 tabletop game. I'll be playing a saucy ghoul. Steve will be playing, I believe, a country Mr. Handy.
Yep.
Not to be
I wanted to
confused.
say claptrap there.
Yeah. So he will be the handies of Misters or Misters Handies. It will be quite entertaining, and I'm looking forward to it. So we will catch everybody again next week, and yeah, have a great night, everybody.
Thank you for watching.